What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and you're watching the first episode of Let's Play Fire Emblem, a Game Boy Advance game that's fairly near and dear to my heart. Fire Emblem is a series that we didn't get outside of Japan for quite a while, but since 2003, when this game is released, it's one that's garnered a lot of popularity over the years. It's a nice little series of strategy RPGs that originated on the Nintendo in Japan, or I guess since it didn't make it out of Japan, it would be more appropriate to call it the Famicom. I'm not entirely sure what year it came out, but it's a series that's been around for a long time. It's a series that's fairly well known for being very difficult, although I'm pretty sure that this version of the game was toned down fairly, I want to say significantly, for outside of Japan releases, because that's just a thing that happens sometimes. One of the things that's a little bit of a misnomer about this game is it's just called Fire Emblem, which would make you think it's the first game in the series, but it's very clearly not. Which is especially weird because none of the games in Japan have no subtitle. All of them, even the first game, has a subtitle. So the subtitle for this one is technically Rekka no Ken, which I believe just means the Sword of Fire, or the Blazing Blade, or some such thing. And it is technically the 7th game in the series, so a lot of times you'll see it referred to as Fire Emblem 7. But anyways, let's get things started here. Get rid of that. So, when you start the game, you start off in Lens mode, which I'll explain briefly. Basically, the game is divided into 3 different modes, each corresponding to one of the main characters you can see on the left side of the screen here. There's Lynn's mode, there is Eliwood's mode, and there is Hector's mode. Now, I guess if you've beaten the game before, Lynn's mode is optional? I guess it's not optional if you haven't played the game before, but anyways, it sort of serves as like a tutorial, and the story starts there technically, but it doesn't really have any big impact in the long term. And it carries on into Eliwood's mode, and you can carry over a lot of your character's stats and stuff. But anyways, if you have actually beaten Eliwood's mode before, after being Lynn's mode, you have the option of going into Hector's mode instead of Eliwood's the next time around. And Hector's mode is pretty much the same as Eliwood's, except it kind of focuses more on Hector than Eliwood. It just kind of shifts perspectives a little bit. There's a few extra scenes and a couple extra chapters, and it's a little bit harder on the whole. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, so let's talk about this a little bit. One of the things is that this game has a lot of little tutorials that I'm basically just going to skip through. This box is a little bit deceiving, because it seems like it wants you to, like, it's asking if you enter information, and my response to that would be, no, I don't want to go with this information, I want to change it. But it's asking whether you want to change the information that is here, which we do want to do. So what we're doing here is we're setting up our character, our tactician, who doesn't play a huge role in the game, and as such a lot of this doesn't make that big a difference. Gender doesn't matter at all. Name doesn't matter at all. I'll just leave it as Mark because that's the default. But the birth month does make a little bit of a difference. And in the Japanese version, you can also set the blood type. And basically, birth month, and in the Japanese version, blood type, changes the affinity of your character. You can see there's like a little white thing there, and that indicates that our tactician is light affinity. So what month you choose changes the affinity. So that's anima, that's fire, dark, fire, ice, wind, thunder, I believe that's all of them. And it doesn't make a big difference, but the affinity of your tactician grants a small boost, I think it's evasion and hit chance, to characters that are the same affinity as your tactician. So if you haven't played the game before, that doesn't really mean anything to you, but if you know what characters you're going to use through the game, you can kind of selectively give them a little bit of a boost. So for my purposes, I believe it's a three-way tie I think I'm going to have 3 wind characters, 3 anima characters, and 3 fire characters, I believe. So it's a 3-way tie in that regard, and I'm going to go with fire. So it doesn't matter if I choose September or July or any other month that gives fire. Basically, I just want something that gives me fire. So that's what I'm going to go with. And we start off the game with Chapter 0, Prologue. A girl from the plains. I really wish they would give you an option to select your text speed before starting. That's unfortunate. Actually, the gender of your tactician does have play a small amount of difference in how the characters in the game react to you. A couple of them, anyways. Hello, Lynn. And as I said, this is in fact Lynn's mode, so this kind of tutorial section of the game focuses on this character here, Lynn. The Sase Plains, huh? Or the Sake? I'm not sure how that's supposed to be pronounced. What was that noise? Looks like bandits. Bandits! Okay then. Well, no, I can tell you what to do though. Alright. Not that you really need much advice to take on 2 guys, but this is a tutorial. So just gonna skip past all this so I can explain it myself. But the first thing we want to do is go to the options menu. I guess we might as well show backgrounds, fast game speed, that just determines how quickly your characters move across the map. Max text speed, train on. Go with burst units. That's fine. Yep. Just turn that off. 1 is fine. Okay, that looks to be all in order. So this is a fairly standard strategy RPG in a lot of aspects. So the way it works is that your characters go and then the enemy characters go. So this is the player phase. So we only have 1 character, so we have to choose where to go. Yeah. So surprisingly enough, this blue area indicates where Lynn can move. Now what you might not realize is that there's these red squares. Well, obviously you could see them, but this is something that a lot of games don't do. And the red squares indicate the maximum range of that character's attack. So if we can move as far as this blue square, that means that we can attack there, there, or there. Any of those 3 spots. So that's kind of handy if you're trying to see how far you can move a character and still be safe without having to actually investigate the attack range of a specific character. But anyways, just move up there. Unfortunately, in the first couple of missions, you don't really have a whole lot of control over what you are actually doing. You basically just have to do what they tell you. Although, if you have beaten the game before, you can play on hard mode. And in hard mode, you don't actually have any of these tutorials. You can just kind of do whatever you want. So that's kind of nice. So anyways, when we are attacking, our first order of business is to choose what weapon we want to attack with. The number to the right of our iron sword there is its durability. So each weapon has a limited number of uses. In this case, iron swords have 46. Once you do that, you choose who you want to attack. We can only attack this bandit. And we can see the stat breakdown on the right there. So, the top shows our current HP, the MT, I'm not sure what, I guess it's MT stands for might? That represents how much damage you're going to do. And Lynn is going to do 7 times 2 damage, whereas the bandit, who will be counterattacking us, will deal 10 damage, but hit determines the hit chance of said attacks. So Lynn is guaranteed to attack, whereas the bandit has a 39% chance. Now there's actually, the way that percentiles work in this game is a little bit of a misnomer. It's not exactly 39%. That's only like a rough amount. I'm not entirely sure how the probability works in this game exactly, but this is just something to keep in mind. The percentiles in this pane are only in estimation, basically. They're pretty accurate, but they're not perfect. So anyways, we attack, and yeah. So in this tutorial, you'll always hit twice and hit, but that guy will not hit you. Whereas that second attack there, during the enemy phase, will hit you. There's a bunch of math that goes into determining attack damage and multiple hits and all that, but we'll get into that later. I guess I'll talk about counterattacks a little bit later as well too, but they're pretty intuitive. Anyways, the game wants us to move there, and we want to use a Vulnerary, which is a healing item that restores 10 HP. And unfortunately, at this point in the game, they are our only method of healing. And they're consumable, so you can run out of healing, basically. Now this guy with the little shield on him, who also has an actual name, he's called Bada. Bada the Beast. He is the level's boss character. And typically boss characters do not move, so he's perfectly stationary, sitting on that little village. So we want to attack him, and you can see, maybe you can't see, I guess I can't cancel out of that? That's weird. But our Iron Sword is down to 43 durability, because we've attacked 3 times. So anyways, this is the boss, and he has a slightly different battle music. And things aren't going so well for us. And our turn is over, so now it is the enemy's turn. So it's their phase, and they're going to attack us. And the boss is standing on their structure, healed 2 HP a turn. So he dodged, or we dodged rather, and now we have a critical hit. Which is very lucky because we only have a 1% critical hit chance against this guy, but that's always going to happen because the tutorials are scripted. And we level up. And the stats that you actually gain when you level up are randomized a little bit. Basically, every time you level up, every character has a certain percentile chance of increasing each stat. So the strength of a character over time can actually change a lot from playthrough to playthrough, which can be very annoying, but also kind of cool. So basically, each character has a different percentile chance for each of these stats to increase when they level up. I know I said that already, but so Lynn might have, I think she has like a 40, maybe somewhere between like 30 to 40% chance to gain strength every time she levels up, whereas speed is probably like 60s to 70% chance. So over time, she's going to have a lot higher speed than she does strength, but how much exactly she ends up getting is random. So that's an interesting thing to note. Anyways, to actually win this mission, we have to move on top of this structure and seize it. And we win! Hello! I guess, I mean, I didn't really do anything. Yes? Well, how do you know where I'm going? Where do you want to go? That's a bit of a problem. She's the last of the Lorca tribe. Which is an issue I'll touch on a little bit in the next episode. Well, that's unfortunate. I guess 6 months can be a long time. What exactly have you been doing for those 6 months? Well, I didn't do anything, but you're welcome. how am I gonna train you? I mean, I guess I'm a tactician. If you say so. Yeah. And that's about it for today on Let's Play Fire Emblem. Catch you later.